YouTube. I don't know how many of you caught the presidential debate on the 7th, but I did, and there were 2 or 3 things that just really didn't set right with me. If you notice me looking over here to your left, it's because I made a couple notes. I'm just going to refer to those so I don't lose my train of thought. What I've done is I've taken 3 clips from the debate that I want you to see, and I'm going to point out my discrepancies with those and allow you to be the judge. I would like to say before I begin with this footage that if you've never seen Loose Change or any documentary on 9/11, it would probably be very wise for you to do so. I think we've all been looking forward to a Democrat or just someone else getting into the White House, to get us out of these wars or occupations or whatever it is you'd like to call them that we're currently involved in. My first 2 clips are intended to illustrate that this is not going to happen. If anything, we're going to get into more stuff than we're already in with other countries, and despite who's responsible for 9/11. So with that in mind, let's get on with the show.
Section, and it's from Katie Ham. Katie?
Should the United States respect Pakistani sovereignty and not pursue al-Qaeda terrorists who maintain bases there? Or should we ignore their borders and pursue our enemies like we did in Cambodia during the Vietnam War?
Katie, it's a terrific question. And we have a difficult situation in Pakistan. I believe that part of the reason we have a difficult situation is because we made a bad judgment going into Iraq in the first place when we hadn't finished the job of hunting down bin Laden and crushing al-Qaeda. So what happened was we got distracted, we diverted resources, and ultimately bin Laden escaped, set up base camps in the mountains of Pakistan in the northwest provinces there. They are now raiding our troops in Afghanistan, destabilizing the situation. They're stronger now than at any time since 2001. And that's why I think it's so important for us to reverse course, because that's the central front on terrorism. They are plotting to kill Americans right now. As Secretary Gates, the Defense Secretary, said, the war against terrorism began in that region, and that's where it will end. So part of the reason I think it's so important for us to end the war in Iraq is to be able to get more troops into Afghanistan, put more pressure on the Afghan government to do what it needs to do, eliminate some of the drug trafficking that's funding terrorism. But I do believe that we have to change our policies with Pakistan. We can't coddle, as we did, a dictator, give him billions of dollars, and then he's making peace treaties with the Taliban and militants. What I've said is we're going to encourage democracy in Pakistan, expand our non-military aid to Pakistan so that they have more of a stake in working with us, but insisting that they go after these militants. And if we have Osama bin Laden in our sights and the Pakistani government is unable or unwilling to take them out, then I think that we have to act, and we will take them out. We will kill bin Laden. We will crush al-Qaeda. That has to be our biggest national security priority.
That's right, you heard him. Osama bin Laden is our biggest concern. Vladimir Putin, Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, Kim Jong-il, Hugo Chavez, Raul Castro, these all pale in comparison to the ex-CIA operative Osama bin Laden, who remains on the FBI's most wanted list as Usama bin Laden with a U, and under his crimes there remains no mention of anything related to the 9/11 attacks. Keep that in mind. Moving right along.
Afghanistan this week, the senior British military commander, who is now leaving after a second tour, and their senior diplomatic presence there, Sherrod Cooper-Coles, who is well known as an expert in the area, both have said that we're failing in Afghanistan. The commander said we cannot win there. We've got to get it down to a low-level insurgency, let the Afghans take it over. Cooper-Coles said what we need is an acceptable dictator. If either of you becomes president, as one of you will, how do you reorganize Afghanistan strategy, or do you? Briefly, if you can.
I'll be very brief. We are going to have to make the Iraqi government start taking more responsibility, withdraw our troops in a responsible way over time, because we're going to have to put some additional troops in Afghanistan. General McKiernan, the commander in Afghanistan right now, is desperate for more help because our bases and outposts are now targets for more aggressive Afghan or Taliban offensives. We're also...
Yes, you heard correctly the second time in his clarification. We need more troops in Afghanistan, according to Osama. I mean, Barack Hussein Obama. We are also fighting the Taliban, according to Obama, which is not at all the same thing as Al-Qaeda. These things should concern you. So just moving to the next clip. I now want to point out a blatant lie Obama told in closing on the 7th. I'm going to give you a little background on this guy first, as far as his schooling and family go. Barack Obama's mother was a white woman from Kansas, and his father was a citizen of Kenya. His mother's parents were Hawaiian citizens, and he was raised by them from the age of 10 until he finished high school in '79. His grandmother, Madeline Dunham, started working at the Bank of Hawaii in 1960 and was promoted to be one of Hawaii's first female bank vice presidents in 1970, and she retired from the bank in 1986. Barack Obama attended Columbia University to obtain his bachelor's degree from approximately 1980 to 1983, where the tuition in 1980, and I will provide an archive link to back this up, was $8,715 a year, making Columbia the 5th most expensive college in the Ivy League. Now please keep this in mind as you watch the next short clip, and tell me if you aren't slightly offended by this last statement when he refers to your children.
And one of the things that we know about the presidency is that it's never the challenges that you expect, it's the challenges that you don't that end up consuming most of your time. But here's what I do know. I know that I wouldn't be standing here if it weren't for the fact that this country gave me opportunity. You know, I came from very modest means. I had a single mom, and my grandparents raised me, and it was because of the help of scholarships and my grandmother scrimping on things that she might have wanted to purchase, and my mom at one point getting food stamps in order for us to put food on the table. Despite all that, I was able to go to the best schools on earth. I was able to succeed in a way that I could not have succeeded anywhere else in this country. The same is true for Michelle, and I'm sure the same is true for a lot of you. And the question in this election is, are we going to pass on that same American dream to the next generation? Over the last 8 years, we've seen that dream diminish. Wages and incomes have gone down. People have lost their health care or are going bankrupt because they get sick. We've got young people who've got the grades and the will and the drive to go to college, but they just don't have the money.